So when you went solar, you were set up with Duke on something called net metering. Does that sound kind of familiar to you? Net metering?
Yeah.
Okay. So what it was prior to this year was you had your solar on your roof, and then when the sun beats down on your solar panels, it gets sent to Duke. It's stored with Duke, okay, in the grid, and then when you needed it back, they'd send it back to your home, okay? Now they sent it at a 1-to-1 ratio, which means you send them 1 kilowatt hour, and they would send back 1 kilowatt hour, okay? This was net metering. Now, as of 2026, they transitioned from net metering to net billing. So what that means is the electricity that you send them, they're gonna actually charge you to store it in their grid. So you send them 1 kilowatt hour, they're not gonna send back 1 kilowatt hour, they're gonna send back 0.6 of a kilowatt hour. So that means everyone's rate is gonna increase 40% because they're now charging you to store the electricity in the grid. Does that make sense, that transition? Okay.
Sure.
Now, you said you were paying $125 a month on average right now with Duke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a 40% rate increase is going to bump up your bill from $125 to $175. That's going to be your new average bill for the year of 2026, on top of the original 5 to 6% a year that you're going to pay every single month forever while you're with Duke. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So starting in the next 45 days, your bill is going to jump up to $125. Now we're letting folks know, because everyone's first thought is, holy cow, something's wrong with my solar system. My bill jumped from $125 to $175. Okay. That's not the case. What's happening is Duke is now just charging you guys to store your electricity in their grid. That 40% rate increase is how they're going to charge you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what we're doing for all of our homeowners, because to begin with, Duke was playing nice. Now they're kind of taking that control back from the homeowners that have the solar panels. So what we're adding is a self-consumption battery, okay? Now what
does that do?
Yeah, exactly. Great question. So what the self-consumption battery does, instead of your solar production being sent to Duke, we're eliminating Duke as the middleman, and your production now gets sent to your battery stored on site, okay? Now, having the self-consumption battery does two things. The first thing is it makes your system bigger by 30%, because there's not going to be the sending and the receiving of the electricity, where you'll experience something called the voltage drop. So by the time you send a kilowatt hour to Duke and by the time it gets back to your house, it's degraded in voltage, right? To when it actually gets back to your house, it's dropped significantly, okay? When you store it on site, it's not traveling anywhere. It's going straight from your solar panels directly to your battery.
So that's how my system's getting bigger.
And then that way, your system is now 30% bigger. Now, right now, you're still getting a bill, right? We talked about 125 for last year's average, because your system just wasn't big enough to produce enough electricity, which is why you were getting that bill. So we're able to eliminate this 125 bill, because now your system's gonna be 30% bigger. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, because you're storing the electricity on site on your battery, this 40% that they're gonna charge you to store the electricity is gonna be eliminated as well, because you don't need them anymore. You're now storing it on site. So with the self-consumption battery, you're getting a bigger system to eliminate your existing bill, and on top of it, eliminating the 40% that Duke's gonna charge you to store your electricity in the grid. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Now, this battery works differently than a backup battery, okay? The main difference is a backup battery will fill up and stay full until you need it, where a self-consumption battery gets used every single day. So what happens is it'll fill up during the day, and then you'll use a little bit of it at night, and then it'll fill back up during the day. So it's constantly being used day after day after day.
Yeah.
Okay?
So how much is the battery?
Great question. So our batteries start at $184 a month. Now, this is a fixed and flat monthly payment. It does not change, okay? However, there are state incentives still for the battery. The state incentive is $6,000. it's a one-time $6,000. Now, what happens is if you take this $6,000 and put it towards the battery, it's a little bit different than your solar. It will not change the monthly payment. However, it will change how long you pay on the battery. Okay? So if you choose to pocket the the 6,000 and put it towards something else, that's totally fine. Your monthly payment will not change, but it'll go from 15 years is how long you'd take to pay it off. If you choose to put the 6,000 towards the battery, which I recommend everybody to do, it drops it down to about 7 to 8 years. And then once the battery is paid off, you eliminate that 184 payment and it drops down to $0 a month. And now you have a self-producing solar system where your electricity is stored on site, and then you're able to ultimately eliminate Duke. Okay? So you kind of have two options. You're gonna pay somebody to store your electricity, right? Right now, you're gonna be paying $175 a month on average to Duke every single month at that 5 to 6% rate increase a year, and you're gonna pay them every single month forever. Or what a lot of our homeowners with top tier are deciding to do is to pay an extra $10 a month towards their own battery at a locked in rate at 184, put that incentive towards the battery, and then chop it down from 15 years to 7 to 8 years. So then they can pay $0 a month because now their battery's paid off. Okay. Now, I don't pry too deep into people's personal finances and stuff, but based off of you and your situation, what would make the most sense for you guys? Would it be to have Duke or to pay for your own battery an extra $10 a month for you to be able to basically get away from Duke? What would make the most sense for you guys? Battery. Okay, great. So all I do today is we add the battery onto your GoodLeap account because you already finance your panels through GoodLeap, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just add the battery onto your GoodLeap account, and then we just amend your permits with the city because you already have permits for your solar. So we just have our project managers amend those permits and just add the battery and make sure that those permits do get approved. After that, we're able to install the battery. Now what we do is 24 hours after your battery's installed, you're now going to be storing the electricity on site. So we're eliminating your $175 monthly payment with Duke immediately. However, your your battery payment doesn't start until 90 days after we install the battery. So you're going to have basically 3 months of no payment to Duke and no payment towards your battery for the first 90 days, which is 3 months. Does that make sense how that works? Mm-hmm. Okay, sweet. Now I already took pictures of your inverter. Now I know you guys do have an HOA here. Who's your HOA?
Your mom.